Okay, so here we have a debate with Warren Smith and an anti-racist expert, whatever the that means. I don't know what an anti-racist expert is. I don't know how many years in school that guy spent to become an anti-racist expert. I don't know what type of career path you have to take to become an anti-racist expert. But yeah, we're gonna see this debate. Warren Smith. We love Warren Smith around here. Warren Smith is great. And he's actually debated this topic with Brian Shapiro before, and Warren absolutely owned Brian on that topic. But yeah, we're gonna see here Warren debated some anti-racist experts, and we'll see how it went.
I don't know what.
All right, Chad, we're gonna be fair. We're gonna be fair in this analysis. All right.
Expert he could
We're gonna be, I guess not
this
analysis.
nice
This
guy,
reaction.
But this got crazy.
I have a quick challenge for you. Tell me about your American prison system and who's in it.
And okay, we would need to answer the question:
Okay.
Why is the crime statistics what it is? Why
Right.
does that reflect? Because that's what's going to lead to the prison makeup.
We're faced with this number of 15% of the population is committing 50% of the crime.
Largely, it's going to be socioeconomic. I also think there's a cultural component, but I think those probably
Please
those two.
explain that to me when you say that. I want to be
Sure,
clear
I
on
think
what you
those
just
two.
said.
That concept sets people off.
If you have a culture that romanticizes, let's say, Italians immigrating to America, they glorify the gangster lifestyle, the mafia lifestyle. The young boys in that specific neighborhood look up to the gangsters. They have everything. We saw it in Goodfellas.
Far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
The guys
Great movie, by the way. Goodfellas is a movie, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's a movie. It's a good movie.
who dress a certain way seem to have everything. And
To me, being a gangster was better than being president of the United States.
you look up to them, you're more likely
Right.
to act out their path.
Right, because you know the gangster culture is propped up, right? They prop it up, they glorify it in, rap music and stuff like that. And by the way, I don't have a problem with rap music, right? I don't care, right? Freedom of expression, right? But it's obviously a cultural thing, right? They glorify this stuff, right? They glorify the gangster lifestyle, like, oh, look at all the money, look at all the guns, look at all the big booty bitches, right? They glorify all this shit, right? They glorify it, right? They portray being a gangster as something awesome, right? Like, you don't you want to have lots of money, guns, respect in the streets, and a bunch of big booty bitches throwing that ass back? Sounds awesome.
Pattern.
Could this be a factor that we're seeing from something like hip hop music that doesn't always glorify crime, but I think there would be
A
objective
large
data that we could
majority
pull
of
from to
it
say that
does,
there does seem to
especially
be
a lot of
a
the
reflection
more
of
like
gang
underground
culture
stuff, right?
and things that could lead to crime.
Actually, that is one of the most false narratives there is.
How is that false? That you're going to act out the memes that influence you.
When you are policing a community separately, differently, aggressively, you're going to put more people from that community in the justice criminal system.
We would expect people from that community to be in the criminal justice system at a higher rate if that community is 15% of the population committing 50% of the crime.
To then say, well, since a person dresses a certain way, listens to a certain music, they must be involved in gang culture.
Just because you emulate hip hop style doesn't mean you're in a gang. But are you
Right.
disputing that gang culture is glorified in hip hop?
Right,
Black
but
kids.
15% of the
So-
population is committing approximately 50% of the crime, regardless of rap
And
music.
they are policed harder and with judges and jury systems, a justification for saying, I'm going to punish you more and give you longer sentences when I come into your community. And that is also lacking understanding.
Which is a fantasy, by the way, because we see this, especially now, right? We've been seeing it a lot. That a lot of these judges are giving these criminals and, a lot of these repeat violent criminals very light sentences. They're letting them go. They're letting them get off, with soft punishments. So no, it's not that the black community is over policed or being scrutinized more than the other communities.
Of the
There's some
community
there's an uncomfortable there are multiple uncomfortable factors that people just don't want to acknowledge.
you're in. Just
Sorry.
because I walk a certain way, because I dress a certain way, you're automatically tying me to something, a crime.
Why do you believe that people of certain skin colors are punished under the law more extensively? You could make an argument, a socioeconomic argument, but that concept would apply across the board regardless of skin color. If Lil Wayne gets arrested, he's very wealthy. He can afford a better lawyer. There are fair
Right.
criticisms to be had about that, but that's not indicative of racism.
I think it is. You're making a huge judgment on somebody because they're dressing different than you.
Yes, I am.
We judge people based on multiple factors: how they dress, how they speak, how they hold themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And it's completely natural, by the way, right? It is completely natural, and don't let people shame you for doing that, because it is completely natural to judge people based on the way they dress or speak, right? For example, if you have a black guy that is covered in tattoos, got the saggy pants, got the big old chains, and you got another black guy, just dressed in like some jeans and a polo. Well, I think I'm gonna trust one of them more than the other, based off their appearance, right? It's completely natural.
and I personally believe, in my definition, that when you judge an entire group,
But I'm not judging an entire group.
We're not judging an entire group. It's all an individual case, right? You judge these people individually, right? Right, like I said in my example, right? You got one black guy that got the saggy pants, big old chains, tattoos, and got another black guy in some jeans and a polo, right? I'm gonna trust the second guy more than the first guy based off how he's dressed, right? So I mean, this idea that we're judging an entire group it just falls apart instantly.
Group. I'm actually judging the individual.
that's a
Correct.
bigoted view, and that
But
was
how
my
am I judging an entire race of
You're
people?
making a
I'm judging
judgment about-
a,
you're
a
making
meme.
You're
It's a
making
meme.
okay, but you're making a judgment about somebody because of the way they dress, because they don't dress like you. But I want
Okay, so we're not judging an entire group. You just completely nullified your own argument, your own straw man that you were throwing at Warren.
it's not my debate. Go ahead.
We just saw this happen in Texas, where whites will not vote for the most qualified person.
That candidate is the most
Okay, first of all, didn't Jasmine Crockett get elected in Texas? What are we talking about?
qualified to you. That's subjective. Other people
Yep.
don't
Completely
see it the way
subjective.
you see it. Doesn't mean they're racist.
I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole talking about
How
Donald
is
Trump.
that not a racist
Voted
statement that you
to-
just
voted
made?
to America.
Well, hold on a second. Warren is saying that you just made a racist statement. I
Yeah,
disagree.
if I were to say black people don't vote for the smartest candidate, that would be racist. I'm making a judgment about an entire race of people under Brian's definition. But when you do it, it's not
how do you-
racist.
How do you not see when a black person is qualified and whites won't vote for him? But on the other end,
Completely
blacks
subjective.
have voted for whatever
Hang on,
has
can
been
we
in front-
dig into that?
And he starts to divert on this and does not respond to that question I asked.
By the way, less than
But
1%.
is that statement racist? I didn't get a response to my question.
Is my statement racist or is
Yeah,
yours?
I'm not. I don't think you're a racist person. I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy around the definition.
And once again, racism is who has the power.
And now we enter critical race theory. You can't be racist.
Okay, so this guy's a critical race theorist, so he's probably a political scientist. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right.
Just against
Lock in, chat.
someone of a skin color because that skin color, well, they're in power.
And this is
Okay, so
really
you can't be
one of
racist
those
against
things.
white people.
One of those things that white America likes to do. They like to play victim to this reverse racism thing.
And now he's claiming whites like to play victim. How's that not racist under your definition?
This is the problem I have with critical race theory is that under your logic, you can't be racist towards white people because you view white people as the group in power.
No,
That's literally what you just
That's what you just said. How? What? How is Warren just steelmanned what you just said? That is literally what you said.
said. Now he's going to act like he didn't say it, though.
I don't
You
define
just said
white people. I do not define white people as a whole as being racist.
What?
White power structure.
what is
That
the white
is it. That is
power
the white
structure?
power structure. I'll give you a good example right now.
Donald Trump's base. I'm
His
sorry, go ahead.
his base,
Yeah.
it would be one, and for what the reasons that they will clearly state themselves, and the reasons that they cannot give you a definition of why they support this man. They
I
can't even
can.
tell you. They can. You can. Okay.
Yeah.
But the base, no, they can't. And then if we want to talk about DEI, can we
Wait,
get
wait,
why
wait.
they
Hold on.
support this man? The reasons that they will clearly state themselves, and the reasons that they cannot give you a definition of why they support this man. They can't even
can.
tell you.
Okay, wait. So is his argument that we have uneducated voters? Newsflash. There are a lot of uneducated voters in the system. There are a lot of people that don't have exact reasons on why they are supporting a particular candidate, and it goes both ways, right? We saw this all the time during the election time, right? All those videos where people couldn't tell you why they were supporting Kamala, why she was qualified for the position, all that good stuff. It goes both ways.
They can. You can. Okay.
Yeah.
But the base, no, they can't. And then if we want to talk about DEI, can we get a good look at what's in his cabinet right now?
So now it's going to become about Trump. And this is not about Trump. And I was trying to emphasize this fact. These concepts are deeper than politics. And if you want an alternative to Trump and you don't contend with this, you don't stand a chance.
And so the more that we get concerned about Trump, the more these conversations become important because this is the only way you're going to get an alternative to Trump. If you just run another person on the left and they don't contend with these ideas that I'm trying to point out, you're likely to repeat it.
I know many of you like to understand how systems work, and you should, especially when it comes to Medicare, because if we follow the logic, something does not add up. Most Medicare advisors are paid by insurance companies, and in many cases, Medicare Advantage
It's some
plans pay the
bullshit,
highest
man.
pensions.
Healthcare
naturally
is
you have
some
to ask, what
bullshit.
are these advisors recommending? Is it the plan that's actually best for you, or the one that rewards them the most? That's why I find Chapter so interesting. They're the only advisor
We
I've
don't
come
skip
across
ads,
that
chat, all
compares
right? We're
every
real
Medicare plan
motherfuckers, all right? We
available
sit through these
nationwide,
ads.
not just a curated list. And their advisors are salary based. If Chapter's advisors don't make more money pushing one plan over another, who are they working for? You. Chapter will look at your doctors, your prescriptions, your specific situation, and find the plan that actually fits. The consultation is free and it takes about 20 minutes. If you're already on the right plan, they'll tell you. If you're not, they'll help you switch. Chapter has saved the average person over $1,100 per year. So if you want a clear, unbiased opinion about your Medicare coverage, call Chapter at 877-823-4624. Again, that's 877-823-4624. It's free, you'll speak with a real person, and you'll come away knowing whether your plan is actually working for you.
Kenna explained to DEIA yesterday. He said, for example, if you strip all identifying information from a resume and leave only work, school, and experience, that is DEIA.
That's not DE. That's not
It's
DEIA.
not about-
That's just not being insane. That's just not being racist. That's just being rational. I'm going to hire the person who's best for the job. That's not DEI. Equity is something very specific. And this is why it's so difficult to have these conversations because people distract, they shut it down, they talk about politics, they won't talk about DEI. I'm trying right now. Equity means something very specific.
The idea that Donald Trump is not a
Right.
victory of a right so much as a failing of the left. This is the failing.
If we have the black guys who are scoring at 90. We have the white guys who are scoring at 89.5. In your opinion, in today's climate and how it has been, who's getting hired?
The person who can do the job the best.
Person that can do the job.
Yeah, that would be the rational thing. Absolutely. Do you
Okay,
disagree with
I
that?
wanted you to say that. Thank you.
You
Now
would
let's
have to
go
be a
the next one.
fool. If
Now-
I want
now-
to hire a computer programmer, I would be sabotaging my
glad
own
you said that.
business if I didn't
So,
hire the person
I'm
who
glad
can
you said
program
that.
the best.
So now let's follow this. Those 5 black men over decades were not getting hired. So now we make lawsuits.
A metaphorical individual you're just claiming is super qualified and has not been able to find a job for 20 years. Do you have any evidence to back that up? Is that
Yeah, show me. Show me. Do you have the studies to prove that are unbiased and reliable? Do you have any lawsuits that show that was in fact happening?
even real?
Can I just add a stat to that? And then I want Warren to answer. African Americans make up approximately 5 to 5.5% of computer programmers in the U.S. between 2022 and 2025. By the way, black professionals constitute about 13% of the population. That's an actual stat. That's not an opinion.
Yeah, that's evidence of nothing, and I'll break that down. Why?
That's not evidence of prejudice. People make their own decision based on multiple factors.
Are you familiar with the work of Roland Fryer? He's a black Harvard professor who has done the most in-depth. Okay, so if I work at a bank and my job is to issue loans, right? And my job is to keep that default rate as low as possible. That is my goal. It's not to issue loans based on race. No, I want to get that as low as possible. And I'm able to get that default rate down to 0.8%. And then Brian comes along and says, looks at my books and says, well, wait a minute, Warren, 70%, hell, 80% of the people that walked in your office that were black got turned down. And white people, they don't have that issue. Say, yes, Brian, but when you look at the default rate, it is consistent across, it doesn't matter what color you are, across all demographics. Most people don't think that way. And this is Roland's point. They look at the disparity and say, wait, you turned down 80% of black people, though. It's like, dude, that is not evidence of bias. It's will you default on the loan or not, which goes back to the socioeconomic conversation. Do you disagree with any of that logically?
Roland also, in his diatribe of that, also clearly said that 100 white people were giving loans, and only 50 black people were giving loans. And so, yes, if you take the point where
never
you
happened.
50,
this is just a thought experiment. He's not pulling
that's
data.
correct.
It quickly becomes apparent that this guy probably isn't as familiar with Roland Fryer's work as he wants us to believe. He's a nice guy, though.
When you look at the true percentage, white.
So respectful, man. Warren Smith is basically the opposite of Andrew Wilson. I love the dichotomy that they present. Like, Andrew Wilson is PvP, blood sports. Warren Smith is such a calm, respectful guy.
People default more. It's the numbers. So he also made it clear that yes, the percentage numbers look higher for the black people.
I'm just trying to understand. Like,
them didn't get a loan.
So wait a minute, are you Roland Fryer has not done a deep dive into banks issuing loans? This is a thought experiment. Are you making a claim that Roland Fryer has found some discrepancy in the default rate among races?
No, it's not a default.
And what are you talking
he is
about?
Clearly saying that there has been less loans given to.
No, he isn't.
people.
He doesn't delve in banking
less
data.
loans,
It's a
but
thought
a higher
experiment.
percentage of those loans were default. On the other end,
Okay.
more
And
white
Roland
people-
Fryer said this?
Yes.
So we can go back.
Okay. He's never talked
Warren,
about
you
that.
can go back and do videos and look this up.
He's
and-
done deep dives into police statistics, not bank. This is
Yes.
a metaphor to demonstrate the same logic that you would apply to police statistics. He has never done a deep dive into loans.
He has not.
You're
he
making
he
all
said-
this up.
No, absolutely not. Because you can look up when he talks about the economics in America.
Where can I look that up?
I guess you can do like the rest of us. You can hit Google or go to
Yeah.
his websites and everything. He does talk about economics. He has talked about
Yes.
economics for a long time
He's an
and how it
economist.
affects Americas. He even
Yeah, but
talks
you just
about
claimed
how
he discovered a discrepancy in the default rate amongst whites versus other races.
no, you heard my analogy of how he talks about finances.
So that was just a metaphor. What's the point you're demonstrating with that metaphor?
Point is, once again, if I give 100 white people a loan and I give 50 black people a loan, but maybe 40% of that 50 default, but the number on the white side is exactly thus it's more.
That was
It's
my-
more people.
So the default rate amongst white people is higher. That's your claim.
It would be exactly
Based
Just
on
like-
what? You're just saying it would be.
just like his analogies on crime.
So you're
When
what are you
when
basing this
when
on?
you
You're just
go
taking a
into
guess.
a black neighborhood with poor policing, more aggressive policing, you're going to have more black
Why
people.
would we not
arrested.
expect more policing where there is more crime?
Leaflet,
Again, they really want me to watch this clip, don't they? I mean, yeah, I mean Warren Smith cooked, to be expected, right? Warren Smith, that's my goat. That's my Oshi, as the whippersnappers say these days. And yeah, I mean critical race theory. That's why I prefer history, chat. Alright, don't give me none of this modern political science, critical race theory, sociology bullshit. Alright? Give me history, alright? I like that, right? Shit never changes. Maybe like the information becomes more updated, but it never changes at its core, right? It stays the same, right? I like that. Right? I like having a solid story, alright? I love that shit. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end there, I don't really know what the point of that was, right? Because I mean, it sounded like he was gonna make the same point that Warren made, but I guess not. And it's really, again, not really based on any facts. It's more like his analysis, I guess, like his own metaphor, right? His own conclusion. I mean, I don't know. If that was the best Brian could get for this debate, I'm not impressed.